Hello and welcome to the channel Learn and Heal. Today we are starting a new video lecture series of B Ed second year degree program. We have already studied about this inclusive education in the first year degree program. What is inclusive education? I'll be giving you a definition in brief. Inclusion in education refers to all students being able to access and gain equal opportunities to education and learning. We have studied already in the first year in detail about what is the importance of inclusive education. That is very important so that in the second year that particular portion becomes one important subject. Just have an imagination if you are having the Helen Keller sitting nearby you in your class, and if you are having the Franklin Roosevelt sitting nearby you, and the great Stephen Hawking sitting nearby you and listening to the class, how beautiful this classroom will be. That is the idea putting forward by this inclusive education. The first chapter of this inclusive education is understanding the learning disabilities. So we'll be going with the syllabus first. What are the things included in this particular chapter? The meaning and definition of learning disabilities. After that, we'll be talking about different kinds of learning disabilities. That is dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia and dyspraxia. We'll be talking about all these in the coming lectures. Then we'll be talking about different approaches to identify children with disabilities. The learning disability is actually a hidden disability. We cannot immediately identify that disability. There are few approaches we are following to identify the children with disabilities, such as cognitive approach, sensory approach, disability based approach and society based approach. And the last one is the role of teacher in managing students with learning disabilities. That is the very important part. So this is what the syllabus of this particular chapter, understanding the learning disabilities. Moving on to the chapter, first lecture will be talking about meaning and definition of learning disability. First, let us understand what is learning disability. Learning disability is a neurologically based processing problem. Simply, this is a brain-based disability. We cannot eradicate this difficulty by giving proper training or proper treatment. Yes, we can do. We can do this proper treatment and training to reduce the intensity of the effect of this learning disability. It affects the learning basic skills such as reading, writing and calculating. It also interferes with high level skills such as organizing, time planning, abstract reasoning, long and short term memory and attention. We will be thinking then, okay, this is a disability that is happening and that is having the effect on the education. No, it can affect an individual life beyond the academic, impact his relationship with family, friends, even he'll have the disturbances in his working place too. But just remember one thing, of course they are having the disabilities, but that doesn't mean that they are having poor intelligence. Yes, they are having learning disability, but it doesn't have anything to do with their intelligence. They will have sharp intelligence. And as I told you, it is not like a physical disability. If a person is deaf, dumb or blind, we can able to identify very easily. But the case of the individual who is having learning disability is different. This disability is also called as hidden disability. So you have to sit with the child, you have to go with a lot of sitting with the child, you have to experience as a teacher what are the problems this individual is facing. Then only you can able to come to a conclusion, okay, this kid is having some learning disability. Let us try to understand the meaning of learning disability. It is a neurological disorder and it causes difficulty in various aspects of learning such as speaking, reading, writing, computational skills. All these skills will be getting affected. Learning disability may coexist with attentional, behavioral and emotional disorders. So the child or the individual will be emotionally disturbed, he will have the attention, he will have the attentional problem, he will have different kind of behavior, and all this coexist with this learning disability. We'll be trying to identify the most important reasons behind this learning disability. The first one, of course, is ineffective teaching. A teacher is supposed to convey the information to the student, not only to convey the information, to impart knowledge to the students. That is what the purpose of teaching. You have to impart knowledge to the student. If that communication is not happening, that is what we are calling it as ineffective teaching. That is one of the reasons for learning disability. Hearing problem. Just imagine if there is a student sitting at the back bench and he is not having that capacity to listen to a voice which is less than a particular decibel. If teacher is standing in front of the class and she or he is speaking something, if it is less than this much decibel, the student sitting at the back bench cannot hear that. So there will be a hearing problems. So through that hearing problem, he will have the learning disability. Of course, the same is happening through vision. If student cannot able to read what is written on the board, then there comes another disability. Of course, the socio-economic factor also matter. If the student is coming from a poor economic background, or the student is coming from a place where, from a family where you will have a lot of struggles to overcome, he is coming from a family which is not at all a peaceful family, then there comes a learning disability. Then of course the cultural and linguistic difference also will be a matter. For example, if I am teaching in English and you are a person who is knowing only Tamil or Hindi or some other language, you cannot able to understand what I am talking. So the cultural and linguistic difference also matters here. Then the lack of motivation. Why you have to study this one? What is the purpose of doing this? What will be the future if you do this? So this kind of information you have to pass through the individual. The lack of motivation will create a learning disability in the individual. So these 6 are the important reasons behind learning disability: ineffective teaching, hearing problem, vision problem, socio-economic problem, cultural linguistic difference, and lack of motivation. So we'll be winding up this lecture with the definition of learning disability. Learning disabilities are referred to a number of disorders which may affect the acquisition, organization, retention, understanding or use of verbal or non-verbal information. You just imagine you are sitting and teacher is delivering you something, some knowledge, of course, some information, you can say. You are acquiring some information from the teacher, you are organizing that and you are retaining that in your brain so that whenever it is in need, you can use it again and again. This is how the system is working. But the person with learning disability, he'll have some problem with this acquisition, organization and retention kind of thing. So this is what learning disability is. In the next lecture, we'll be talking about different types of learning disabilities, as we have mentioned some in the syllabus, like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia and dyspraxia. So keep tuned into this channel for more video lectures for B Ed second year syllabus, And that's it for the session. Thank you very much.